The Bermuda Triangle, some call it the Devil's Triangle or the Sea of Death, is an area in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean. They say more than 50 ships have disappeared in this area, and there's been no trace of them until today. You might think this is not very complicated, and maybe this area has bad conditions. But what makes this area very special and terrifying is that according to published information, 21 airplanes have also disappeared when entering this area, and nobody knows anything about them until today. There are many theories about the Bermuda Triangle, but none of them have been proven, which keeps it a big question mark for scientists and people around the world. Well, if you want my personal opinion, instead of focusing on theories and conspiracies about this Bermuda Triangle, why not send a drone there to see what's really going on? How is it that humans know what's happening hundreds of thousands of light years away from Earth, but the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle remains unsolved? Anyway, please stay with us until the end of the video to see what's going on in this triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Triangle, is a name given to this area also. The reason for this name is the mysterious events that have occurred in an area of 500,000 square miles between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda Island. First, let's examine these events in order, and then, in the continuation, and at the end of the video, we'll reveal the mysteries of these events. These mysterious events go back to Christopher Columbus, where in 1492, with the start of Christopher Columbus's journey. In his book about the discovery of the world and the discovery of America, Christopher Columbus talks about mysterious and unnatural events. He says it is Saturday, September 15th, and the night has just begun, and a fiery bullet falls from the sky into the water. Many have attributed this fiery bullet to UFOs or meteorites, but 2 days after this event, on September 17th, another mysterious event occurred. The crew had marked the compass, but the compass did not show the North Star. Christopher says, the sailors were terrified, but didn't say why. But the captain knew something was happening to the ship. With the sun rays, the captain ordered to mark the north again on the compass. Christopher says, tomorrow we continued our journey, but I never forgot the events of that night. The next is the mysterious event of the USS Cyclops. During World War I, a ship was serving the United States Navy to carry cargo and supplies. In March 1918, when this ship with 306 passengers and crew was passing through the Bermuda Triangle, it suspiciously disappeared, leaving no trace behind. This sea accident caused the biggest loss of life for the United States at that time, but it wasn't because of fighting. On February 16th, the Cyclops left Rio de Janeiro. It went to Salvador first, then 2 days later it headed to New York. After that, it went towards the Bermuda Triangle, but nobody knew what happened to it after that. Was it just an accident, or is there a secret behind it? What do you think? The mysterious incident of Flight 19. On December 5th, 1945, in Florida, a fleet of 5 planes took off from Fort Lauderdale at 2:10 p.m. The fleet was led by Lieutenant Charles Taylor, who was leading this training flight. This training flight was the 19th flight before graduation for these students of the United States Navy Officer School. Before the flight, they had set their course and were supposed to do a training flight in the area and return to base, but halfway through the flight, they suddenly realized that there was a problem with the compasses of the planes and quickly reported these events. They had lost their way, and the control towers in that area were trying to communicate with the fleet. Lieutenant Taylor was proud and experienced, and didn't want to show his inability to the students, so he didn't pay much attention to the compasses not working properly. Exactly 4 hours later, at 6:10 p.m., the Navy managed to locate the lost fleet. They were 200 kilometers off their planned route. At 7:27 p.m., the Martin PBM-5 plane, which had taken off to guide this fleet from the ground, disappeared from the sky 23 minutes later, and no one could believe what was happening because it disappeared from the radar. Later, a fuel transport tanker in the area reported an explosion of a plane in the sky. The U.S. Navy got the last distress signals from the 5 planes 6 hours after they took off. But these signals were just noises. The planes had gone too far away and suddenly changed direction towards the east, going into the ocean. Nobody knows what happened to them after that. Were they lost because of fog? Or did aliens have something to them? BSAA Star Tiger disappearance. On January 30th, 1948, a plane vanished while flying over the Bermuda Triangle on its way to the Azores. This plane belonged to the royal family of Avro Tudor and was operated by British South American Airways. They intended to land in South America. They reported unstable weather conditions at the time, and even the smallest mistake could destroy the plane and prevent it from reaching South America. After entering the Bermuda Triangle, the plane disappeared. Interestingly, a year after this incident, on January 17, 1949, the Star aerial plane took off from Bermuda Island at 8:41 in the morning with 7 crew members and 13 passengers. However, exactly 1 hour later, mysteriously vanished when it was in the Bermuda Triangle. Months after this incident, search teams tried to find the wreckage of this plane, but they found no trace of it. As you've seen, many incidents have occurred around this triangle, and there are various theories about it. But our channel is scientific, and we can't rely on guesses or assumptions. That's why, let's see what scientifically happened in this triangle regarding the events that happened to Christopher Columbus, such as the fiery bullet on the water and the compasses malfunctioning. There might be logical explanations. The fiery bullet might have been a meteorite landing near them by chance, just like the events we witness today in front of human eyes or surveillance cameras. The compass's error occurred due to magnetic deviation, which people were unaware of at that time. To solve it, they only needed to consider adjusting for magnetic deviation in the compasses. Just like when they recalibrated the compasses with the North Star, the problem was solved. In the USS Cyclops story, investigations found that the ship was carrying too much cargo, exceeding its limit by 8,000 tons. Before it left port, the captain reported a big crack in one of the engines to authorities. Also, a message revealed that the ship's engines were in bad shape. This changed how they looked into the ship's disappearance. The message mentioned crew members fighting, hinting that something more serious might have occurred beyond the ship simply sinking. The 19th flight, however, was the most impactful for me. The mysterious disappearance of 5 planes during a training flight. However, research details show us that this incident was not mysterious. After the flight began, the leadership of the fleet was transferred to one of the students, and Lieutenant Taylor took charge of supervising. When the compasses malfunctioned and Tyler felt they were headed the wrong way, he took control again. Tyler contacted the control tower and said, "Both compasses are out. I'm trying to find where we took off from. I'm sure we're over Florida, but I don't know where we are exactly." Lieutenant Tyler had made a big mistake. When flying straight on the route you see in the video, he guessed they were somewhere else, where you see in the video. He thought if they went a bit east, they'd reach land, but there was no land. Instead, he continued straight east, unknowingly heading towards the Atlantic Ocean, and his second big mistake was taking all the crew members with him. The 5 planes and 14 pilots continued towards the ocean until they ran out of fuel. Imagine being in flight, searching for land, with no way forward or back and no help coming because you're sure no one even knows exactly where you are. Truly, it was a bitter end for those 5 planes. The airplane Star Tiger was the first one heading towards the Bermuda Triangle from Portugal. According to reports, there were many issues with the plane's heating system, and the heaters were probably malfunctioning. The pilots had to fly at an altitude of 2,000 feet to keep the cabin temperature from dropping too low. This altitude was exactly where strong winds caused problems for them. The strong winds led to excessive fuel consumption, but no one had calculated this. Probably because of the bad weather conditions, they intended to change course to the nearest airport, but their fuel wasn't enough. They might have continued on their route to Bermuda, but again, they didn't have enough fuel. Which decision did the pilots make? It's not clear. But the story of the Star Aerial airplane is a bit different. It vanished a year later while flying over the Bermuda Triangle towards Jamaica. What's strange is the last talk between the pilots and the control tower. They said everything was fine, and they were flying at 10,000 feet, not mentioning any problems with the plane. This disappearance could mean something went wrong intentionally, or the plane exploded in the sky. Recent investigations found that the Star Aerial planes had a long-standing technical issue. The report mentioned a broken heater and complaints from passengers about another technical problem. One expert's theory suggests there was a leak from one of the hydraulic systems, and when it reached warm air, it might have caused an explosion. Many of us think the Bermuda Triangle is a scary place with dark clouds and stormy seas where no planes or ships dare to go. But with a simple search, you can see that hundreds of planes and ships pass through this area every day. Also, no country or government has declared this area as forbidden or dangerous. All the events that happen there are just due to carelessness or bad luck. What do you think? Please leave a comment.